Oh, hey all, and welcome back. If you've been following me from the beginning, you know I like Mugenbine. Now, if you've not heard of this before, Mugenbine is a Bandai toy that is a derivative of Machine Robo, which is the origin of GoBots. But Mugenbine, what they did is they developed a toy that is essentially a parts former that combines to make animals and robots and other neat things, and they can combine. So it is a great builder creative toy. If you go through my playlist, you could actually find some videos where I make some interesting creations. And I'm going to get back to doing that because that was something that I used to enjoy doing, and I have a ton of them. But having a ton of them, I actually started collecting them again, I guess a few years ago. There was a bunch of brand new ones that popped up on eBay, so I started buying them like crazy. And the way I like to do it is I like to buy 2 of each. It lets you build larger symmetrical robots, or whatever kind of creation you can imagine. So anyway, we have Heavy Mammoth here. As you can tell, we have a range of purple and yellow plastics. Package has all the characters on it. We have the modes on the side. And then on the back, you have other combinations you can do. So if you have multiple sets, this is one of the suggested creations you can do with it. And then of course, you've got like some sort of weird robot thing, a deer, big giant robot mode. That's the Tyrannosaur, which I also have. And then, of course, if you have, a big bunch of them, you can have this. The thing about it is like a simpler Diaclone, the way we have the modern ones where you can sort of reconfigure and modify them. So this is a brand new figure. Let's go ahead and get out of the box and see if he's worthy of our collection. And so we slide it out like so. A nice little cover so things don't fall out. We've got the instructions, and then you can see how all the parts are in here. They all have their individual wrapping so they don't get messed up. Nice orderly packaging, not just thrown in there, which I appreciate. Very cool. And here's the full assortment out of the package. We have a variety of parts. Some have joints, which is a pretty cool thing. Clicky, ratchety joints. And then we have others, joints is really the primary specialty of some of the parts. But also, we have parts that have heads, and it's really just how you want to combine it. And combining is, now this is how this works. If you're by a U set, this is what you need to look out for. The only places I usually ever see them damaged is in this port. So if they can't stick together, it's because the port is broken. I've not had one break on me myself, but it's just something to be aware of if you're ever purchasing a used one. But yeah, they just peg in like so you can do your own kind of combinations. Now, if you're really into Sentai and those type of style of robots, this is really a perfect set for you because the creativity of the robot is very basic. It's very blocky, and it becomes very interesting in that respect. Now, on top of having these pieces, these larger sets have a pilot. Now, don't expect a lot of articulation, even though it has pretty good detail. It has Tempo logo on the chest. Well, it sort of has the shape of a firefighter helmet. I do believe it's supposed to be a construction hard hat, but he sits. And that's really about it. But he looks good standing there, and he looks good in the pilot seat. So let's go ahead and throw together the first combination. And here we have the Mammoth Mode. And I think this is pretty cool. From most directions, you can tell it's some sort of beast and or elephant. We don't have a lot of articulation. So if you noticed here, these joints, they're double pegged, which means they're not going to rotate on the peg. It's going to be pretty fixed. We do have articulation in the trunk, which you could use to shovel things up or have some sort of imagination there. Perfect for play for a kid or a fun adult. Now, if you look in here, you can actually see the pilot in the cockpit. And I really like the design. I think it looks good. You have the little eyes here. Everything is well painted. Nice decals. The only thing that stands out is you do have the website on the side and the decal or the Tempo on there. And while it's good quality, it's just kind of weird to have the website on there. But it's not a big deal. Overall, I think the Mammoth Mode is nice. And I do think this set lends itself to some creativity. If you had some wings, you can throw them on there and have a flying elephant or whatever your heart desires. So let's go ahead and get this guy apart and try the next mode. And there we have Bulldozer Mode. Now, compared to the other mode, I will go ahead and say this mode is a little less stable. I seem to have some binding in here somewhere. And really what it could use is this area needs to be more fixed some way. But we have something it's rotating off this peg and this peg. And so it's just not the most stable on the front of the shovel. However, for display, I think it holds up just fine. But there we have the standing pilot in the cockpit, and we have sort of, I'm not sure what they're called. I think there's some sort of scraper device that's on the back of a bulldozer. But there we have it. We have a really neat bulldozer. And what's actually surprising is that there's not a mode that uses this as a construction vehicle. Now, you can create your own, and maybe that's why they left it open to that. But just throwing that out there, for all the modes that they've given us, that is one that's not involved. And as you can see, I've also not got that fully squared away. So that's actually a little better. I had a piece that was not fully pegged in. And that's one thing you just have to kind of adjust with as you're getting used to Mugenbine, is making sure that every port is in there just right. Yeah, that's a pretty cool mode. It's funky, it's futuristic looking, but yeah, pretty cool. Now let's go on to the shuttle. And there we have the flight mode, which is pretty interesting. We have cool wings, we have tank treads. The whole thing is actually fairly stable. The tail is only on one peg, so you're gonna have to kind of be aware of alignment issues here and there. But it's just a minor thing. It's still creative. I think it's still pretty cool how they come with it. The pilot changes into his seating up position, and we have a pretty cool setup. And of course, it takes a little bit of imagination, but we can still pretend these are like thrusters or something back here, and we've got the thrusters on the sides. But yeah, I think it is a cool plane. And something I want to point out, because I don't want to forget, is this piece. This piece is, I think, very special about this set, because if you notice, we've got this smaller head here and this massive head here. And what heads like this are great for, and this is something that most of my sets do not have, are when you make giant combinations, you have a head that is more in proportion with the rest of the design. I kind of wish I had some more of these, because this piece is a good shape too for doing things along toes or shoulders, or who knows, other kinds of parts. So I'd like to have a third one just for that head. So anyway, let's go ahead and get on to the robot mode. And there is the first robot mode, and also the first configuration that does not use every piece in the set. Now, for robots, I mean, he's very chunky, he's very basic. He's definitely got that Super Sentai vibe. As far as articulation goes, we have joint, kind of, because that's the peg system. We have a little fake fist that are molded in there. His head can look up and down, sort of part of the transformation. We do have a joint here. Of course, it pops off when you turn it, but you can kind of make his leg move or his ankles rotate. And I guess with this joint, you can kind of make him go off to the side, but there's not a whole lot you can do. He's more of a brick, just for display or playing with your imagination or whatever. But yeah, he's still a neat little mode, but let's go ahead and make him into the full configuration. And here we have the final combined mode. And as you can see, it has that sort of Sentai Mugenbine jank as far as just being a creative mess of parts. So he has a steam shovel arm, and he has this other kind of arm. And of course, it's all fairly left up to the imagination. It's basic, it's simple, it's not super articulated, and it's not even super stable, but it's very cool. And this also utilizes all the parts. Now, I think having multiple sets of these is really what stands them apart, because you can take the parts that sort of act as a leg or foot or arm and really fill them out to have a better set of features that really makes them more cohesive as a full body of a figure. But as far as articulation goes, there we go. We're done. That's articulation, and it barely does that. Of course, you can move the knees and hips and stuff a little bit, but you're going to risk stability. But let's go ahead and rotate this guy to the back. Back's fairly basic compared to the rest of it, but all that said, it is a cool set. I personally don't absolutely love this robot mode, but I do love the other combinations that they have suggested, as far as even the basic robot and the space shuttle, the bulldozer, and the mammoth. And I think with these, they definitely are going to complement the rest of the sets for making cooler, bigger custom creations. So if you're really interested in that, you can check out my other Mugenbine videos, or in the description, you can actually check out a link to an article I did on using building toys for inspiration for developing new robots and concept art. As well, in the comments, you can let us know if this is worthy of your collection. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you all next time.